So this is our agenda for today. Today we are going to discuss and hear some experts about the objective 2 of the mission soil, conserve and increase soil organic carbon stocks. With us we have Dr. Panos Paganos from the European Union Soil Observatory, Dr. Patrick Kubola from Mero University, and also Dr. Beatriz Owati from Mero University. To start, I would like to do with each one of you a little ice break. And I want you to drop your answer in the chat. And if you think that these questions is a myth or a reality. My colleague Luis is creating a poll in the chat, and we would like to hear your thoughts about it. I will give you 1 more minute. And yes, Beatrice, you were right, is a myth. It's not true. Because while agricultural regions are indeed important for soil carbon sequestration, soil health and carbon stocks are also critical in all ecosystems.
Okay, and to contextualize better the meetup and the series of webinars we are promoting, so they are integrated into the SoilTribes project. So this is an Horizon Europe project that was started this year. And basically what we aim is to try to force and to discuss with different partners and with different actors the importance of soil. So restore these narratives of the soil and how should we protect them in a collaborative approach. And to that, we are promoting a series of events inside the community of practice. We have launched it and it's still open. And one of the activities we have is the meetups. So they are targeted to the SoilTribes community of practice and to the general audience as well, with the aim of fostering the soil literacy, with the aim of discussing, invite external partners and external experts to give opinion and to foster the cross collaboration and discussion on the soil topics. And this consortium is composed by 25 partners with different partners from local authorities, research institutions, that and other type of organizations that represent farmers and agriculture sections. So the project is also fostering the local approach to start working from the European narrative to the local approach. That's why we have several regions and authorities also involved in the consortium. And as I was mentioning before, the meetups is one of the initiatives. We are in the third one. We are following the mission soil objectives, and this will happen every 2 months during the first year of the project, and the second one until we reach out the 14 meetup. And that's our targets, and that's what we have promised. Now I pass the word to Carmina.
Thank you, Luis. Now I will pass the word for our speakers. I would like to hear from you, your background, your expertise, if you can introduce yourself in 1 minute, and then we can jump to Panos Pagano presentation. I don't know who wants to start first.
It's Panos Panagos, not Panos. Okay, everybody knows me as Panos, so it's no problem. I'm leading the EU Soil Observatory, and I'm by formation soil erosion modeler, but as well I've done a lot of assessments on soil organic carbon at European scale, biodiversity and pollutants. I'm responsible for the EU Soil Observatory, and may know that we have developed a lot of staff, maps, assessments, and the dashboard recently. And in addition to this, we provide policy support for the implementation of different EU policies like the proposed soil monitoring law, the EU soil strategy, the carbon removals certification, and of course, we help our colleagues in the Soil Mission Secretariat for the technical implementation of the soil mission, as well as possible for the third pillar, third objective of the soil mission, which is the soil monitoring. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Beatrice, please.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Dr. Beatrice Owiti. I come from Meru University of Science and Technology. And like the probably other two experts, my expertise is in communication. So I am the communication link from Meru University. I'll be talking to you shortly. So probably that's all I can say for now. The other gentleman, Dr. Patrick, also comes from our university and is the technical link for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick? It's your turn to present yourself or say a few words. I think maybe we can start now with the presentation of Dr. Panos, and then I will give the floor to Patrick.
Moment to share this, please, because this is not always easy.
Okay. I will stop sharing my screen.
Can you see my screen or no?
Yes.
Okay. So I will speak in the next 10-15 minutes about this major objective of the soil mission, how to conserve and increase the soil organic carbon stocks. Soil organic carbon stocks, I mean, here is the current policy framework in the EU. And in the middle, you can see the EU Soil Observatory that I represent. So the main policy support that we do and we target is the EU Soil Monitoring Law. It's in the latest stage because yesterday we had also the positive confirmation coming from the Council. So we just wait now a final vote from the European Parliament, and then it becomes the law of the European Commission. We support as well the EU missions Soil Deal for Europe, and that's why we're here. That's why your project, SoilTribes, has been funded. And of course, an important policy that we support and is very relevant to the objective that we put today is the carbon removals and carbon farming, the famous CRCF. Of course, we support other policies, which of course have to do with soil organic carbon, like the Common Agricultural Policy, because in the Common Agricultural Policy, soil organic carbon is one of the indicators. Also, in the Nature Restoration Law, also there, we have to monitor carbon stocks and peatlands. The Digital Euro program, the biodiversity strategy, chemical strategy, zero pollution action plan, and many other legislation. So in this political policy context in the EU, we have established the EU Soil Observatory, which has as major objective to produce knowledge for soil policy. So we have seen before many soil policies that are in place right now after the EU Green Deal of 2020, and here we have established this soil observatory to provide knowledge in order to support the policies. I mean, the policies need scientific evidence in order to be supported. And we have 5 major activities, starting clockwise from the left, to develop an EU-wide soil monitoring system. And this, of course, takes place with Lucas, to monitor the impact of policies in improving soil health in the EU. And this takes place with different dashboards that we develop here in the EU Soil Observatory. Of course, we produce plethora of data. I can show you some of them later. And those are stored and delivered through the European Soil Data Center. We interact very closely with our stakeholders, which is academia, farmers, policymakers in different levels. I mean, in Brussels, at the European Union, but also regional authorities, national authorities, NGOs, many different stakeholders, like coming from the ones from the private sector as well. Plus the fifth one, we are a research organization. We develop a lot of research and publications as well. So our main instrument in order to do this is Lucas. Lucas is a survey, takes place every 3 to 5 years, and it's the first pan-European and let's say continental harmonized survey. And this allows us to have a kind of monitoring at continental scale. So practically, we are the ones who manage this survey, meaning that we design with a sampling, we select the points, we develop measurement protocols, we advise, train the surveyors, then we get the samples, we analyze them through a laboratory, get back the results, do the quality assessments, and produce those interesting maps that you can see on the right. Of course, Lucas is very modular, has a lot of properties like soil organic carbon, nitrogen, physical and chemical properties, but also biological one during the last years, phosphorus content, heavy metals, pesticides, fungicides, soil biodiversity components as well. And through, machine learning, artificial intelligence models, etc., like DSM, Cubist, etc., we produce those maps, which at the end probably are the ones who will support different policies like the use strategy, the soil mission, the carbon farming, nature restoration law, and many others. Lucas till now has been run for 2009, 15, 18, and 22. The data for the three first periods are publicly available, and the last one, the last campaign now is analyzed and has more than 32,000 samples in the European Union. A little bit of policy, where we are with the soil monitoring law. This was proposed in 5th of July 23 by the European Commission. It's the first ever legislation that provides a harmonized definition of soil health, because we have 27 member states and we may have different definition of what's health, soil health in the EU. Puts in place a comprehensive and coherent monitoring framework. As the name says, we give a lot of emphasis in monitoring, and of course initiate a gradual implementation of sustainable soil management in order to improve soil health, but also address issues relevant to soil contamination. Where we are now, we have a very quite complex process in the EU, because the Commission proposes a legislation. We have proposed, we as Commission, the soil monitoring law. Then the Parliament adopts with a positive position in middle of 24, April 24, June 24, the Council, which are the member states, the 27 members, adopted as well. However, both the Parliament and the Council came with slightly different versions from our initial proposal. So during the last months of 24 and the beginning of 25, we had this trilateral process, European Commission, Council, and Parliament, to discuss it together to find an agreement. And now we have a common text proposed 9th of April, and this common text now has been as well accepted by the Council, by the Member States. So we wait for the final adoption from the Parliament, and it becomes an official legislation of the European Union. The reporting period, the first assessment is expected around 2030. I said all this stuff because here you can see the descriptors. The descriptors are the parameters that will be monitored through the soil monitoring law. And of course, loss of soil organic carbon is one of the is something that we'll have to monitor. And we'll have to monitor through indicators on soil organic carbon divided by clay ratio, but also through soil organic carbon stocks and soil organic carbon content. So it's an important parameter that will be assessed at European Union level, but also at member states level. And we expect an order of magnitude higher of Lucas. I don't know, 5-6 times Lucas of samples to be monitored for this parameter, but also for other parameters. A little bit about the soil mission. Where we are with the soil mission, it's an important mechanism because it allows almost 1 billion euro to go for funding in research projects in the EU in relation to soil health. And a major objective of the soil mission is to establish 100 living labs for co-creation, testing, and pioneer innovative solutions for soil health, and to advance the knowledge on healthy soils. And again, in the soil mission, we have 4 pillars. We have the first one, which has to do research and innovation. Till now, we have spent around 600 million euro for 63 projects funded so far. The new calls expires for 25, expires today, and the preparation of calls is underway, so we'll publish soon the calls for 26 and 27. The first living labs started in 24. The next round of living labs started this year, and we expect by 2030 to have in place the 100 living labs. And we as GRC here, as EU Soil Observatory, are the ones responsible for the harmonization of indicators and how we can measure soil health. And we should not forget as well the fourth pillar, which has to do with citizen engagement, communication, and how to promote soil health among citizens. In the soil mission, there are certain objectives and indicators. And one important objective is to conserve and increase soil organic carbon stocks, and put in red. You see the 8 objectives here, but also in order to measure the progress towards this objective, there is an indicator. An indicator is soil organic carbon stocks. So you see here that the soil organic carbon stock is also among the indicators of the soil mission, but also in the proposed soil monitoring law. So it's something that we developed a lot and we work on this topic. A little bit of where we are with climate policies in the EU. This is a very interesting graph because shows how the EU has the ambition to become the first neutral, climate neutral continent by 2050. This means to reduce, of course, emissions. And here we are. I mean, by 2030, we have to reduce emissions by 55%, and then to neutralize, to have at zero by 2050. Of course, the agricultural sector and in general, the land sector plays an important role. We know that the agriculture is this land use and forest is this dash green one. And of course, we lacked as a sink, mainly because of forests are able to absorb carbon from the atmosphere and will play an important role in this towards this carbon neutrality. That's also in this frame, the European Commission has decided to propose legislation about carbon removal and carbon farming, the CRCF regulation, which is a very interesting business model. Means that we reward land managers and farmers practically for improved land management practices, which at the end will result in carbon sequestration. Practically, we reduce carbon release to the atmosphere and we get carbon to the soils. It's a win-win situation because you contribute to carbon neutrality, but of course, you increase your carbon in your soils and the soils become more fertile. Of course, the benefits of this business model is that the increased carbon removals, additional income for land managers because they will be rewarded through some schemes, more biodiversity in nature, and of course increased climate resilience. Of course, the challenges are big, and the process of applying carbon farming is quite important because it needs some quality standards, a plethora of data and models in order to establish a kind of baseline from where we start, and then how we'll measure this carbon sequestration. Plus, the most important, the funding. I mean, there will be a kind of mixed, let's say, blended funding, some coming from the public authorities like the Common Agricultural Policy, the state aid, EU funds, but some funding will come as well from the food and the biomass value chain. So the food industry will contribute on this because it has to do with carbon credits. And in carbon farming, we have identified different practices that can contribute. I speak about the use of conservation tillage, the cash crops, the cover crops, and the increased landscape features, the restoration and rewetting of peatlands, the forest management, the agroforestry, the precision farming, and more efficiency, better efficiency of fertilizers, and the blue carbon, which has to do with coastal wetlands. Of course, in relation to soils, the emission reductions are relevant to the use of conservation, tillage, catch crops, etc., in agricultural soils, but also rewetting the peatlands and reduction of fertilizer use. The time limit that each farmer will get a certificate and will be certified about this scheme is between 5 and 10 years, and this certification period can be renewed. Now we discuss all these things in the proposed regulation. I go a little bit in more technical issues about modeling and where we are with carbon. I mean, in GRC here and in EU Soil Observatory, we apply 2 types of approaches. One which has to do with biochemistry modeling, based practically, and one data-driven one. The DACENT, which is a complex model, tries to estimate the carbon fluxes, and here you can see that we estimate the carbon fluxes based on 2 types of scenarios, by including management practices or without any management. And in both cases, you see that there is a kind of loss. I mean, the kind of loss from agricultural soils. You said before, if it's a myth or a reality, of course it's a myth. regarding carbon sequestration on agricultural soils. We do a lot of work in agricultural soils because for historical reasons we have supported the common agricultural policy and we have insisted a lot in developing models and data-driven approaches for the agricultural soils. But as well, we need to speed up as well for forests and peatlands. So the losses of carbon in EU agricultural soils is estimated between 5.3 million tons average loss per year if we apply certain management practices like cover crops reduced tillage, or 11.9 million tons per year of carbon if we don't apply any management. Those are interesting findings which have been documented in interesting publications you can see below. This is the second approach, which is a more data-driven approach. I explained to you before that we operate the Lucas means survey. We go text sums, we measure the sums, we have the data on the sums. And by taking the difference between the 2009 campaign and 2018, we see that in those 10 years, we lost around 70 million tons of carbon in the first 20 centimeters of agricultural soils. It's more or less around 7.7 million tons of carbon losses. So in between what the geochemical approach has shown before. So it's an interesting output as well that has been recently published in Global Change Biology. I mean, the main reason for losing carbon is the cropland, the grassland conversion to cropland. I mean, when you convert grassland to cropland, you lose out. The opposite, you gain very little. Some novel assessments that took place in our group have to do as well with the potential, where we have potential losses of carbon, risk of carbon, of losing more carbon, and where we have areas where we have a high potential. So by combining the POM and MAU from our data sets and with distribution of spectral data that we have here in our databases, we estimate that between 43 and 83 million hectares, around 44% of agricultural soils, are of high risk of losing carbon. Practically, we speak about the cool and humid areas. On the opposite, 50 million hectares have the potential to absorb more and to mitigate climate change and generate carbon credits. And here you see the geography of those areas. Those are important findings because they can drive sustainable soil management and very relevant as well to carbon removal certification. Of course, we should run some scenarios. I mean, how we can mitigate the carbon losses, what we have to do, and we have proposed certain scenarios, certain practices, like in order to keep carbon in the soils and to contribute to carbon sequestration, we can convert from arable to grassland. Of course, this is not feasible through the whole EU because we need to cultivate some areas and to get some food. The crop residue management, the reduced tillage, the combined residue incorporation, reduced tillage, the laying and rotation, and the cover crop. And in the maps on the right side, you can see the potential of each of those practices in order to sequester carbon. Practically, of course, the first one is the darker one, is the most important, the most significant, gives quite important results. And here we analyze three different scenarios. I mean, how much of those practices we can dedicate in order to have an environmental friendly scenario, which is the dashed blue line, which is quite aggressive scenario, which means that we convert a lot of areas from arable to grassland. And economic one, and economic is the black one, because the economic means that you take into account the economic perspectives, and of course, as I said before, you cannot convert as much as arable to grassland because you have economic restrictions. And somewhere the intermediate, and the intermediate scenario is something that can be a little bit feasible, which allows to not to have carbon loss, to be a little bit neutral from agricultural soils. That's all from agricultural soils, but we should not ignore as well the organic soils. I mean, the organic soils here is a special issue in the EU, and we know that the EU emissions from agricultural soils, according to European Union Greenhouse inventory, is around 95 million tons. I listen my voice. Okay, CO2 for the 70 million hectares of peatlands. From another source, from Greifswald Meyer Center, which takes into account national inventory, those emissions are much higher. I mean, around 160 million tons of CO2. And we know that there is a quite high uncertainty in this. However, you see that the emissions from organic soils, from peatlands, are 4 or 5 times higher, or even 7 times higher than those from croplands. So this slide shows how important is the peatlands, and peatlands are identified as a hotspot of emissions. And the regulating peatlands is an important practice that can reverse this trend. That's all about the modeling. This is the last slide. This is the last slide because shows a little bit of where we, I mean, in the European Union now, we have the EU Green Deal as a priority, and we still have to implement it. However, in the new Commission, we have as an important priority to increase the EU competitiveness. I mean, we have to be competitive compared to other continents. And how this can happen by decarbonize and increase competitiveness in the EU, by closing the innovation gap, and by reduce excessive dependencies. And carbon farming is an important business model. I mean, can be a business model with high economic potential. We speak about can reach even 13 billion euros with a price of 100 euros per ton, and involves a lot of factors. It's not just the farmers, it's also the certification authorities, the auditors, and many other actors. And we need, however, to accelerate this process, because still the process is, I mean, the current process of improving soil health and sustainability is not sufficient to meet the targets that we have put in the legislation. Regenerative agriculture, of course, has a huge potential and can be an interesting business model to transform the agriculture sector in more sustainable food system. However, in the EU, where it has an infancy level because there are economic, cultural, and structural barriers. Of course, we should take into account the farmers' profit, because it's very important. We cannot do all these activities without the farmers. And the role of agri-tech solutions. I mean, now with artificial intelligence and precise agriculture, we have a lot of more data, a lot of solutions to be in place. But however, we should implement this, and we should have another culture in open access data sets. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has questions. I have prepared one question for you, and then if all agree, we can jump for Beatriz. Latamaros, please.
Hello, thank you. So my question is about the technology to measure carbon in soil. If there is more technology rather than make a soil measurement, like if with drones, satellite, or artificial intelligence, there is a way to measure the quantity of carbon on soil, or there is only to make a measurement in the lab? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of money that we spend on soil surveys. Honestly, it's a lot of money, because I manage the Lucas, and this means that I know the tenders, how much money we spend for soil analysis here I mean, for the Lucas, but also the private sector or the farmers, how much money they spend. It's a lot of money. Till now, the only way to have the assessment of your carbon in your soil is the classical soil survey and analysis in the lab. There are some methods, particular spectroscopy, that start giving some positive results, but my statement is that we are not yet there. We're not yet there to abandon the classical survey methods and to go and trust just the spectroscopy or other this type of methods, which are more technological fancy, but not yet mature to have the results that we have with analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. Marius, please.
Yes, so I have one question, but I also want to contribute to the last point. Actually, I'm currently mentoring a startup that, as you said, cannot reduce the soil samples, cannot remove the soil sample need, but can reduce up to 10 of the soil samples that you need. So what I've seen is that AI, or at least this startup, by using satellite and AI data, they can significantly reduce the amount of soil samples sent to the lab, which is again a big big thing for reducing costs, like tenfold at least. But my question was, I saw the cover crops as one of the possible strategies. Do you have any, did they make it in the policy? Is there a specific line of financing and research on dedicated to the cover crops?
I mean, the cover crops is a solution that gives some results. I mean, increasing carbon stocks for at least in the very beginning, as soon as you apply them. I mean, in a period, you may reach a balance. Of course, a solution is proposed because it's generally cheaper than others. It's also a good solution for reducing erosion, for increasing biodiversity, etc., etc. In the common agricultural policy, depends on the different eco schemes that each country applies. But as I said, a lot of, let's say, incentives will come through the carbon removal through the CFCF. I mean, the CFCF will propose such management practices and will reward farmers if they apply such management practices to increase carbon. So I expect that this will be one of the solutions easily adapted, easily taken, pick up by farmers in order to be entering this scheme of CFCF. And regarding your, your comment about, of course, as I told you, technologies need by need entering this phase and improve our analysis and our estimates on soil organic carbon. As I said before, if we want to apply a very precise value of soil organic carbon, we still have to do the analysis. But if we more or less be in the order of magnitude to understand, also other technologies can help around. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has more questions. So I think that we can jump to Beatrice's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Let me see if I can share my screen. Oh God! For some strange reason, I'm able. Let me try this again. Cancel. Caroline, if I'm not able to share, oh, there it is. I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to talk about the dashboards that are available in Kenya, that have been put up by several different stakeholders in the country. But before I do that, I'd like to inform us that in the Kenyan situation, you will find often we are talking about the county governments, and then we again, did my presentation disappear, or is it still there?
It's still there.
Oh,
We
great.
can
Yeah. So
Go
when
ahead,
we
Billy.
when we are talking about Kenyan situation, you'll find sometimes we say we have the county government, we have then the national government. These are units of government for the country. So Kenya divides itself into 47 counties, which are devolved units, each with its own leader, who is referred to as the governor. And this is the unit that actually is concerned with agriculture, where the issues of the soil issues fall. So you will find in my presentation, sometimes I'll talk about the county governments and then the national government. Now, the national government is the overall body that actually disburses the funds to the lower level, that's the county governments. Now, so in Kenya, we have several agricultural dashboards, and they perform a variety of functions. So they enable farmers, policymakers, stakeholders to make informed decisions depending on the kind of dashboard that we are talking about. Now, the very first one is known as Kilimo-Stat. For the benefit of us who don't understand Swahili, Kilimo is the Swahili word for agriculture. So then it's Swahili agriculture and stat, which of course is something to do with statistics. So it's a data platform, and the owner of this platform is the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Development. And this particular dashboard, it provides data, it provides statistics, all this about various sectors in the Kenyan agriculture field. So the sectors such as agroforestry, things to do with climate change, food and nutrition, and food security, also livestock, crops, and fisheries. So Kilimo-Stat is one such dashboard that we have in Kenya. Then we also have the Kenya Food Systems Dashboard. And this one, it performs an assessment of food systems. So again, just like Kilimo-Stat, it's supposed to help policymakers and stakeholders to make informed decisions about matters related to agriculture and food systems and safe and food availability. So this is basically just food related. Then we have the crops related dashboard, and you will find that most of these are all they're under the umbrella of the Ministry of Agriculture. So the crops data dashboard, it puts together all the information about land yields, revenue, profitability across counties. Remember what I said about the country is the devolved units. And this is able to be shared out with anybody who can, benefit from it. But it gives highlights such as the efficiency, and it actually gives real-time data. It talks about things like land, how much the land has been calculated, the revenue collected, and profit. So this is also another dashboard that you can find in Kenya. Then there is the production report that's given by the National Agriculture, again still on the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, this is through the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, which is a government body whose prime function is to keep statistics, and it keeps statistics of all sectors. So when we talk about statistics in agriculture, then that's just part of what the National Bureau of Statistics is engaged in. But from there, we get publications on the annual report of agricultural production throughout the country, livestock production, food security, and other important agriculture indicators. So that's another dashboard we have. Then, of course, we have the Kenya Food Systems Dashboard. The Kenya Food System Dashboard is new, relatively new, because that's just as late as February last year. And it compiles food systems data from all the 47 counties. Remember what I said about the devolved units, the counties, which are 47 in number. And once they compile this data on food systems, it is shared, and this can be used to inform decision making. Then we have another dashboard that's abbreviated VIFAR, which is visualizing insights on fertilizers for African agriculture, Kenya. So what this one implies is that it's not only in Kenya, it's also there in other countries of Africa, but we have the Kenyan based dashboard. And this one has various uses. It enables all people in that sector to make informed decisions. And of course, these are the policymakers, stakeholders. They can use this data so that they make decisions that are data-driven. Then it can also be used for agricultural development. This is where the data is analyzed, and then from the conclusions made, again, important decisions and important conclusions can be made. Again, the dashboard is useful for food security because it provides insights into availability of food, into how the food can be assessed. And again, it can help policymakers to address things like food security challenges, and it can also help to promote nutrition across the country. Another probable effect of this is improved crop yields. So through these dashboards, there can be the monitoring of soil health, and this can happen real time. And that's what makes it important, because then when there's any change, then we are able to, decision makers are able to determine what to do. Then the dashboards also enhance, they create enhanced decision making. So they provide insights that are valuable to allow farmers and policymakers to develop strategies for improving soil fertility. So through things like reduction of soil erosion, promoting sustainable agricultural practices. Of course, dashboards that are there now contribute to data-driven policy, which we have already mentioned, because we are able to get data from all these different areas. Then we can analyze the data, make conclusions about it, and then use the conclusions that we have made to enable the formation of data-driven policies. Again, it has the potential of increased adaptation of regenerative practices. So it helps to demonstrate what are the benefits of these practices, such as demonstrate how this can lead to improved soil health. It can lead to increased crop yields. So this way, then we are able to encourage more farmers to adapt these regenerative agricultural practices. Then food systems dashboards, they provide us access to data on food systems, as we have already said. And then this information, again, can be used to support decision making, because when all is said and done, it is policies that run what's going to happen in every sector. So when we are able to have policies that are informed by current real-time data, then we are able to, in the long run, improve food security, and we are also able to promote sustainable agricultural practices. Potentially, this can also improve precision agriculture, improve climate smart agriculture, and also improve sustainable agriculture. Because through this, there's encouraging the adoption of this, there's the development of strategies to promote soil health, then there's optimization of crop management. And so these potential benefits of the dashboards cannot be overemphasized. Again, in the long run, some of the aims would be improve on food nutrition and enhance climate resilience. So healthy soils, they will lead to better crops, and better crops lead to supporting better human health. Just in the same way that if we have sustainable soil management practices, then again, we can build resilience against climate change, and then also still promote ecosystem services. Then we have been we also going to look at the reasons why sometimes we have poor agricultural production yield in Kenya, and Kenya is interesting because we have really high agricultural yield areas, and then we have really low, and then we have high potential areas that also do not produce much. So the issues in poor agricultural production are quite vast and wide, and wide, and they vary from county to county. So some of these include environmental challenges, and the environmental challenges are global, so that when we talk about climate change, when we talk about soil nutrition deterioration, when we talk about land degradation, that is not like a Kenya-specific problem, but yes, these are problems that affect agriculture in most parts of the world. Then, of course, we have noticed there's limited use of modern technology, which can be attributed to lack of knowledge of use of this technology, and even lack of the technology itself. Then other reasons for poor agricultural production could be such as the presence of pests and diseases, then also the poor access to quality inputs, whereby the centralization really of information on pest control, information on access to quality input is a problem. But apart from that, there's also the lack of proper training, and so many farmers would have poor knowledge of pests and diseases and how to control them. And of course, there's the unscrupulous sale of pests, of pest control things that are harmful to the environment. Then we also have infrastructure and market challenges, and these are brought about by we have some areas really have good infrastructure, but there are parts of Kenya where the infrastructure is really poor, where there's limited access to markets, and there's a big Kenyan problem known as middlemen. Middlemen are people who, they are not farmers and they are not consumers. They broke. So you are a farmer, somebody comes in between you and the market. And the sad part of us having middlemen is that middlemen can actually earn much more than the farmer by producing nothing, just being able to talk to people. And then we also have institutional challenges. When we talk about something like limited extension services, land ownership issues, and access to finance, I'll explain a little about limited extension services. At some point in Kenya, we stopped having students getting in to do courses that have got to do with extension. And so it's peculiar that the people who are working in the agricultural sector, who are extension officers, are majority really old and almost retiring. So the government has now put in place measures to ensure that the crop of people coming up now can take up after this. But we have a big gap in the ages of the people who are retiring now and the ones who are joining the field. Then land ownership issues, we have interesting land ownership. You know, there's the ancestral land, there's the land tenure from the government, and it complicates issues. And then we also have access to finance, where we are saying that it's not really very easy to access finance for a farmer. It depends on what level of farmer, what can they show that they can do. So that's a challenge for Kenyan farmers. Then on soil health and food security in Kenya, we can say that soil health plays a crucial role in ensuring food security in Kenya. And the challenges can be enumerated in this way, that so far, over 40% of East African soils are degraded. And Kenya is losing approximately 26 tons of soil per hectare annually to erosion. So erosion, of course, is a big degradation factor. Then we also are suffering from soil fertility decline. So about 63% of our arable land is impacted with acidity. 80% has phosphorus deficiency, and 75% has depleted organic carbon levels. Then we also have an issue of soil salination, so that we have like 40% of land which suffers from salinization. And this, of course, puts in danger food production and, of course, sustainability. Again, the impact of this on food security is reduced productivity. If the soils are degraded, then of course the productivity is going to be low. When there's low productivity, it impacts directly on health of the soil and affects, of course, nutrition of the crops. So what are the solutions for sustainable soil management? So we can have agroecology, where we integrate biodiversity, soil management, and organic inputs. This way we can improve soil health and productivity. Then a method that's always being touted as a good one is organic farming, where we have biofertilizers, compost, and the practicing of agroforestry. And this way we can then restore soil fertility. And then we can also practice, we can also encourage, embrace sustainable practices, so that we have practices such as crop rotation, we have cover cropping, and all this can help to promote soil health. So there are initiatives and recommendations that we have come across, and Kenyan farmers are adapting a lot of new methods, and there are organizations that are supporting this kind of methods. So we again have the Ministry of Agriculture, and that Ministry of Agriculture is the one that's managing all sorts of agriculture in the country. Then we have county commissioners, under whom we have chiefs, and these are the groups of people that are ensuring that soil health management is done. But remember, when I began this presentation, I did say that agriculture is now devolved to the county governments, 47 of them. And so it's not a national government function, though the national government has a few responsibilities left to do with the agriculture sector. Then the national government, therefore, implements agriculture policies. Then it implements projects, and these projects are several that are initiated, some of them by the Kenyan government itself, some of them by international partners. So we have projects like the Food Systems Resilience Program, we have National Agriculture Value Chain Development Project, Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture Project, and many others that the national government is responsible for. It's also responsible for research, and that's where we as a university fall, that universities are actually research based. So then when it comes to agriculture, we will not fall under the county governments, we will fall under the national government. And then the national government also is in charge of regulatory frameworks and also in charge of capacity building of the peoples in that sector. So it does this by providing inputs such as access to seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides. It also provides market support, so that you will find that the national government is always looking for new markets for both for export and internal. It's also responsible for maintaining food security in the country, and it is also the duty of the national government in Kenya to regulate on disaster management. So that slide that follows is just an example of projects that are currently under the national government. As we've said, they like are the overall, but the counties are the ones that do the hands-on. But there are these few that are in the hands of the government. So we have the Value Chain Development Project, we have the Climate Smart Agriculture, we have Food System Resilience, and we have Youth and Women Empowerment. So those are some of the projects that the national government is involved in. Then we have the devolved unit, which is the county government, and that is run by governors who are responsible to take care of the constituencies, which are the units below the county, and then the wards are units below the constituencies. So the county governments, they are responsible for agricultural development within a specific county. They are also responsible for the transformation of agriculture within that particular county. They are also responsible for food security, planning, and capacity building, but not now at national level, but in the lower level, which is the county level. They also take care of crop development and livestock development. In fact, these counties, for example, our universities in Meru County. Now the county is responsible to, for example, choose the value crops and then work towards ensuring that this becomes like a flagship agricultural project for that particular county. So this devolution it's something that started just in 2010, and so Kenya aims to develop in the smaller units to become better managed, so that agriculture is actually more improved, the services are more effective and closer to the people. So this is all I have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has questions to Beatrice. No, so I think that now we can hear a few words from Patrick. Patrick, I don't know if you are talking, but you are muted.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Somehow my laptop is not doing well. Let me use my mobile phone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Can you hear me, Caroline?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a new technology for which has a potential for increasing carbon in the soil. And that new technology, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. Just a moment. Beatrice or Witty, can you share that screen? I send it to you, my presentation. Beatrice?
Yes, I can.
Beatrice,
If you
can
say,
you share for
yeah.
me
Let me
my
just get it.
proposal?
Let me just get it,
presentation.
then I'll share it. Just give me a minute.
So to start with, in Kenya, with regard to increasing carbon in the soil, we have some farmers doing what we call as a new technology, which is taking shape in Kenya is the production of biochar from cow dung. We have a lot of millions of animals in Kenya. And us as engineers, we have developed technology for production of biochar, which is helping farmers to increase carbon in the soils within Kenya. Beatrice?
I'm looking for it. Unfortunately, I hadn't downloaded it. I have to find it first. But you can just continue. When I find it, I'll share.
So something about me. My first degree was in agricultural engineering. My master's degree was in mechanical engineering, and my doctorate was in agriculture engineering again. My thesis was using plasma technology in food processing. And I've been carrying out experiments on how to improve soil health by using the plasma environment. So my presentation will be actually to do with the potential of plasma technology for use in improving carbon in the soil in the future.
Maybe you can resend it by email so that it comes on top.
Let me see if I can share. Can you see my presentation?
No,
Let's
not
see.
yet.
Wow.
No, we cannot see it.
Cannot see it.
Yeah.
Wow. So maybe I just talk about it and then I send it to Caroline to maybe share it with the rest of the team members.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, there you are.
Yes, now we can see it. Perfect. Thank you.
See my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So first, I'll start by explaining what is plasma environment. I'll start by explaining for those of you who do not know what this is. So plasma environment is a fourth state of matter after solids, liquids, and gas. And it comprises of the three. In addition to that, we have ionized particles in it. It can be created from any substance, be it compound or element, that has got the potential to be ionized. And what results is that we have charged particles which are hyper in activity, meaning that they can react with what is within the environment to form other compounds. And this is what we're going to use in increasing organic matter in the soil. So plasma can be created at different pressures, low and high, at different temperatures, low and high, and then of course at different ionic intensity. That means the degree of ionization in that environment. For this presentation, I'm going to focus on low temperature plasma, which can be used to enhance soil health. Of course, as I said, this is what we have in the plasma environment. We have positive ions, we have free electrons, we have negative ions, we have neutral atoms, and of course, we have neutral molecules. That is the plasma environment, which makes up the fourth state of matter that we know. Then the characteristics of plasma particles that are influenced by electromagnetic forces, and their interactions can lead to various phenomena and numerous uses which engineers are using today for the benefit of humanity. So plasma particles can be generated and used for various applications. Example, which I used in my PhD thesis, was actually to enhance a certain compound in green tea leaves for purposes for mitigation against high blood pressure. So that was, I used nitrogen as a gas. I plasmarized it, and then I put my green tea leaves, and a certain compound was enhanced, and that compound is associated with high blood pressure. That when you take tea with enhanced compound, that compound, then it reduces your high blood pressure through relaxation. So I have used the same principle to see if I can increase the organic content in the soil. So as I said, I'm doing it at low temperature. At low temperature is a very interesting scenario that the environment is not at equilibrium, it's not steady, it changes all the time because of the differences in the properties of the particles inside. There is formations, dissociations, combinations, and in this environment that we take advantage of to increase organic matter in the soil. So the technological advancement to enhance soil carbon sequestration, and this is how we do it. Degrade volatile organic compounds. Plasma environment can break down pollutants in the soil and improve its quality and fertility. So I'll talk about the pollutants that are found in the soil. We have pollutants that can affect humans, the ecosystems, and their agricultural productivity. So the natural pollutants, as you can see, from zinc out of the minerals, and we have in this country and in other places. We have acid rain It used to be there in Kenya many years ago, but it was stopped because of its effect on human health. And then you have human-induced pollutants, excessive use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. These are very common situation in Kenya, and I'm sure in Africa, that we are using a lot of synthetic or chemical fertilizers, which essentially are bought actually from outside the country. And a lot of times their content or their capacity are questionable because they've been used and they have not done as expected. Then we have industrial wastes in this country and elsewhere. Then we have, of course, urbanization and deforestation, disruption of soil quality and structure, mining activities. In these countries, there are oil spills we don't have here in Kenya. And of course, disposal of waste disposal is a problem also here in this country. So these are the common soil pollutants we have in this country. Number 3 is a serious problem because of plastic waste management. And this technology can be very valuable for taking of that number 3. So the consequences of soil pollution, of course, we know is human health risks, soil degradation, water pollution, and food security eventually. So how do we do that to sustain our soils? We have reducing of chemical usage. It's a form of carbon sequestration. Of course, this leads us to organic fertilizer. We have a lot of farmers and business people doing biochar and biomass composting to be used in farms here in this country. Of course, proper waste disposal. The afforestation, we are doing it in this country, and afforestation. And of course, we are doing, there's a lot of conservation agriculture and the usual crop rotation and others. So this one is taking place in Kenya. So how do we use low temperature plasma technology to increase the carbon content in the soil? So this is how it is done. The soil is processed under low temperature plasma to generate the reactive ions that can form nutrients for the plants. The other is reducing soil-borne pathogens. Plasma has the ability for antimicrobial properties and to control soil-borne diseases and reducing the risks. So this is another method you can use low temperature plasma to increase the carbon content in the soil. Improving soil structure, plasma treatment may alter the soil's properties and enhance water retention. Just to mention, it has not taken root in many parts of the world. It's a new technology for the future. And the tests that we're doing here in Kenya is for high value crops to see if we can treat the soil using plasma environment and use it for growing crops. So that is under investigation. Potential applications of LTP, of course, sustainable agriculture, soil remedy. We can remedy the soil if it is highly polluted. And as I said, this is a technology for the future. And so it has not taken root. What has taken root in many parts of the world is that we can use plasma technology to enhance the germination of seeds. That one has been done, and I think it's being practiced. And I think some commercial companies are producing technologies to this. So some recommendations. This presentation was a short one. The new technology is optimize treatment conditions to determine the most effective plasma treatment conditions for specific soil types and applications, and of course to scale up and undertake investigations to understand its effect on different soils. So these are recommendations which we as scientists in research are intending to do. Yeah. And then overall, low temperature plasma technology has the potential to improve soil health, promote sustainable agriculture, reduce environmental pollution. And that is what I set out to present to this team. Maybe we can expound more on the specifics in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I don't know if anyone has questions for Patrick. So we have prepared some questions for our speakers, and we would like to hear from each one of you. Feel free to speak. The first question is, what policies and can governments adopt to incentivize soil management practices that can conserve and increase soil organic carbon? I don't know if you, Anus or Beatrice or
Yes.
Patrick can.
Yes, I can give you an overview because this is on the way, and I have presented a general good overview of what the carbon farming and carbon certification framework will give. So practically, we expect that the carbon farming and carbon certification is the policy that will drive in incentivizing the management practice to improve carbon stocks in the EU. Of course, the soil monitoring law as well will have an impact because the soil monitoring law will propose certain management practice, but this we can see in a longer way. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Beatrice or Patrick or anyone from Melissa, please.
I think governments could adopt more up-to-date composting regulations. So at the moment, they cap how much manure you can convert into compost. So I think they could, yes, just update their policies a bit to come in line with more precise composting, which is managed very strictly. That's it.
Thank you. I don't know if Beatrice or Panus or Patrick can give you an overview of an answer for Melissa's question.
If this is something proven in practice that works and has, as I told you, the certain criteria, because okay, you apply policy, of course, certain criteria should be mentioned. Certain criteria means increase of biodiversity, economically viable, all this kind of stuff. And it can be a solution, it can be a management practice which can be promoted. There is no, let's say, written in the stone of what management practices will be promoted or not. They are the ones that will have certain results. And those certain results, that's why we propose this carbon removal, carbon certification framework, will be measured very regularly. I mean, if there is a certain increase of carbon on soils, farmers will get an incentive.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has questions or suggestions So I will jump to the next question. How can technological advancements such precision agriculture help monitor and enhance soil carbon sequestration? I don't know if Patrick or Beatrice, or maybe Penas again, if you can give your inputs.
Again, we have discussed a little bit in my presentation that of course the soil survey remain still the one who gives precise results, but we see very good improvements, particularly in spectroscopy. I mean, if you compare, there is a lot of work on spectroscopy and predicting soil organic carbon spectroscopy. And this is a big advancement, and we see a lot of progress on this. And we hope that in a few years we'll be there, that spectroscopy will be able to give us very precise results on soil organic carbon content. Of course, with the recent improvements in satellite image as well, this becomes quite feasible for large-scale assessments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last one, I will jump for the last one, and I hope to hear the other speakers on that. What are the latest advancements in soil carbon modeling, and how can they be applied to improve the accuracy of carbon sequestration assessments in soils?
Maybe before going to, sorry for monopolizing, exactly experience it. Before going to modeling, we should speak about open access data. I mean, there are a lot of efforts to do analysis, a lot of data around, but they never become open access. They are certain, just for certain audience, and certain people have those data. We should change the mentality, and this happens with the solution. I mean, to speak about open access data and have our data open access, because most of those data have been produced with public funding. This is the first point. Second point is that regarding the modeling, and the mission plays an important role because it promotes the open access. Regarding the modeling, we see certain advancements now with AI. I mean, we see a lot of new models coming in, and as we have the policy framework of carbon removal, carbon certification, there are many certificators who will apply this kind of modeling activities. So it will not be just one model, I don't say Rothsea or Century or DaySem that will predict carbon sequestration, but will be different models, and this creates a kind of synergy. We can create an ensemble of models that will allow us to have to reduce the uncertainty for modeling assessments. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has more questions or suggestions. No, so I think that we can jump for our final part of this session. What do you learn with this session? I will, after this session, send you a forum where we can share the best practices and what we have learned with all of us, but feel free to share your thoughts in the chat. And right now, and to end the third meetup of SoilTribes, I would like you to smile for your camera, and if you want, turn your camera on for a picture. Luis, I don't know if you have everything.
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you.
So if you could just stop sharing screen, perhaps
Yes,
it's
of
easier
course.
to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, smile. Perfect, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And to conclude, I just want to let you know that here you have the QR code and all the information about the Mission Soil Manifesto. And I would also like you to learn about it, and feel free to join the movement. Regarding our upcoming events, we are going to have next week our boot camp in Porto, and I hope to see some of you there. And please don't forget to stay connected with our project, learn more about our community of practice and our activities. And if you have questions, you can also have access and send us an email with your questions or suggestions about this series of meetups. And that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.